Just kind of looking back and recapping last week with UTEP. Hey, it's great to win. When you came back and had the opportunity to really break it down and watch the film, there were a lot of things that we got to get better at as a football team. We were fortunate to win. I think I was really excited about the defensive performance in this game. I feel like defensively, with 10 new starters on that side of the ball, I feel like these first 3 or 4 games have been really, you're teaching a lot of lessons that, as we've talked about before, maybe should have been learned in spring practice and fall camp with what you're doing. I feel like we're kind of learning the fire, learning in the heat of the battle. We've learned a lot of lessons in the first 3 games, and I think we're making improvements. I'm starting to feel really comfortable with the 2 deep depth chart that's starting to formulate on defense. We've got some guys that are really stepping up and doing some good things, and I think the BYU game was a great learning experience for our team. Going on the road and playing the way we did, I think they were embarrassed. They want to be good. They're a proud group, and I thought they came back and they had a great week of practice, and it showed in the way that we performed. I thought, defensively we gave up 10 points in that football game, and I thought they played really well. They played fundamental, smart football. It wasn't about necessarily making plays as much as it was about 11 guys playing together, playing fundamental football, holding their gaps, not trying to do too much, and it showed. I thought the results were impressive. Offensively, it was the worst performance that I can remember being part of here at Louisiana Tech. I mean, we struggled at tackle. I know we talked a lot about the news that we got on Friday with our starting 2 tackles being out. And 2 guys had to step up, with Walker Hankinson getting his first career start and Byron Rossell getting really his first game back since his injury a year ago at Marshall. And so he was a little bit rusty. I don't think we played the way that we would have liked to have played. We had way too many lost yardage plays. We struggled protecting our quarterback in the passing game. And we have a young quarterback, some inexperienced quarterbacks back there that we had to make some adjustments to what they were doing against us. And I don't think we handled those very well. I think we learned as coaches some things that we've got to do a better job of. I have to do a better job of because we do have an experience. It's not what we know or what adjustments we make. It's how comfortable does our team feel making them. With that, I got frustrated, and we decided that we were going to run the ball. We were going to be safe. We were going to stop going backwards, and we were going to punt it away and make them drive 80 yards against our defense. And so that was kind of the game plan coming in, and we were able to find a way to get a win. And when you don't play well, really on offense, and you don't play well in your kicking game, it puts an awful lot on your defense to find a way to win. So really proud of the players, the way they competed, the way they stayed together. I think that continues to be a strength of this team is how close they are. It would have been easy to start pointing fingers in that game, but yet there was a lot of encouragement on the sideline, and I really liked the attitude of where we were. Some guys that really stepped up and played well. I think our receivers on offense continue to play at a really high level. I think we're catching the ball really well, and they're really focused and dialed in, and they're competing hard. I think the center, Cody Russey and Josh Moat, the 2 guys with some experience on our offensive line, are playing well and doing some good things. And then defensively, I could sit and talk for a long time about our front 4 and the progress that they've made and the leadership of guys like Milton Williams and Trey Baldwin and the job that they're doing. The emergence of the 2 freshmen that are making their presence felt on this football team, and Tyler Grubbs and Cedric Woods. I thought Cedric Woods played an outstanding game for a young corner. You can see him getting better and better and confidence building as he's going on, and he'll continue to grow and learn. Both of them will continue to grow and learn as the season goes on. It was great to have Mackie Carabin back to give us a little bit more of a rotation in there at linebacker. I thought he played really well for us, as well as some depth guys up front. Michael Clark got in and did some really good things for us. I think some of those backup defensive linemen and Tristan Allen, I thought, played very well. We had some guys have to step up. Gerald Wilbon, our nose guard, was out. Tristan Allen went out early. I thought Malik Wells stepped in there and did some decent things. So I mean, I think Eric Kinzer continues to play really well. A guy like Levi Bell has got a limited number of reps, but we got to get him more plays in the defense. And so I think there were a lot of positive things to build on defensively. Malik Wells, Khalil Ladler, I thought did some good things at safety, and B.J. Williamson, with Jaden Cole being with the targeting call being removed from the game. I thought those two carried the load and really played a solid game at the safety position. I thought overall in the secondary, we kept the ball in front of us. We didn't give up a bunch of big plays. So a lot of things to build on with it. Obviously, the kicking game woes continued. We punted really 10 times in that game, and we didn't have one of them over 40 yards. And I just really frustrated because I watched both players in practice go out and compete at such a high level, and we just got to find a way to get them a little bit more comfortable back there in game days where we can go and kind of see the talent and the potential they have. If anybody gets to the game early and watches them warm up, you're going to ask why we don't play those guys. I mean, because those guys they've got talent and they can do much better than they are, and we've just got to do a better job as coaches bringing them along. And then the kickoff return is a shame for a team that was competing so hard and defensively and only giving up 10 points to let them back into the game with a long return like that. I mean, we've got to do a better job, and we've got, again, some youth and inexperience, some young guys out there guys like Jamison Kelly, who I think will learn from it. A lot of players out there that are going to do. We've got to get that straight and get much better, and I think they're really zeroed in with what we need to do. So overall, it's great to win. It wasn't all roses. It wasn't all positive. There's some things that we need to grow on from it. It's a great learning experience for our team, and hopefully that they understand as we go through this season, we are going to be a work in progress as we go through all 11 games, and we've got to keep getting better, and I think certainly some of our faults showed up on the field on Saturday. This week we have Marshall. Great respect for Doc and the job that he's done there. You've got, right now, I know it's early in the season, but you've got a number one in the East and a number one in the West facing off this early in the season. It's got all the billings to be a great matchup game. I think Marshall's a really talented team on both sides of the ball. When you look at them statistically, they are leading the league, or top two in the league in almost every category offensively and defensively. When you look at what they're giving up scoring, both on offense and defense, and total both on offense and defense, this is a very physical, experienced, fundamental football team, and they do a really good job with their coaching staff of coaching them, and I think they play extremely hard. They're a physical bunch, and this ought to be it's going to be a heck of a challenge for us here at home.
All right, Corey, feel free to bat leadoff.
Yeah, just to expound a little bit more on that, on the last point you made. How much do you talk with the team about maybe approaching this game as sort of a measuring stick game with the possibility that it could be another opponent that you guys might could see later on this year?
Well, I think we're a long cry from that. You know what I mean? From winning the East, that's why I saw her winning the West. I think right now Marshall's one of the measuring sticks. When you look at what they're doing right now, they're receiving votes. They're one of the better teams. An App State team that was top 25. They beat them 17-7. They're a really good football team. Like I said, I look at them. It's not all about flash and sizzle and scheme with them. They line up. They're very simple in what they do schematically, but they do it better than what you do. They're fundamentally sound. It'll be a great measuring stick for us to play one of the better football teams in this conference right now, this early in the season. Are we ready for it? I don't know. We'll find out. We got to make a lot of improvements this week if we're going to play at the level that it's going to take to be competitive with Marshall.
Boat, feel free to go next.
Coach, coming off a big defensive performance like you talked about, Marshall brings a little something different to the table. Do you approach them differently with your defense?
No, I think we always say we got to worry about us, control what we can control, and what some of the things that showed up in the BYU game is just guys tried to do too much. We weren't playing team defense. We were playing as 11 independent contractors, and everybody was doing their own thing, and we weren't always tied together. I think BYU is a really good football team, but I also think we gave up an awful lot in what we did as a defense. I think that's the biggest battle cry we have right now, is just to continue to get better fundamentally and understand where we fit in our 111th on the defensive side of the ball. What gap we need to hold. You can't run out and say, well, I thought it was going over there, so I jumped out of my gap, and all of a sudden there's a huge hole in the middle of the field. I thought we did a much better job of doing that last week. And when you look at Marshall, they've got a great running game. Their offensive line is big. They run a lot of zone schemes. They make you become very disciplined. They have a running back that's been back there. Knox has been there for a long time. It seems like forever. But he's rushing for over 100 yards a game. He will find a mistake that you make. He can expose you in a hurry, just like BYU can. If you make a mistake, they can expose you. He's got experience. He's got great vision, balance. He runs hard. He's fast. He's quick. He gets into the secondary. He's hard to bring down. But they're going to make you play fundamental, disciplined football. And if you don't, they're going to hurt you. Their offensive line is big. They're strong. They're athletic. They do a great job. And then they've got a young quarterback that I think is an incredible talent. I mean, when you look at his arm strength and the way that he throws the ball, they don't ask him to stand back there and throw it 52 times a game and read the entire field and play a lot of 10 personnel and spread sets. But when they do it, when they get into passing situations and he does it, you can really see his accuracy, his arm strength, and his talent. I think he's really going to be one of the more special players in this league. I think he already is really good, but I think he's only going to get better and better. So they pose some challenges because they can do it with their ground and pound, with a really good running back and a big offensive line. And then they can also spread some things out, and they've got a quarterback back there he throws in windows. He doesn't put the ball in danger. I think he's really talented. And those are going to be the challenges that we're going to have both in our front seven and in our passing game.
Ben, feel free to go next.
So, Coach, you look back at UTEP and you mentioned that you had some struggles protecting the quarterback. Do you change anything up this week, or what do you do to give your quarterback more time to throw so that you can push the ball down the field to all those talented playmakers?
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. Our receivers are playing really well, but if you can't get them the ball, it doesn't matter. You got to be able to get them the ball. Now, we're going to have some people back this week, so I feel a little bit better that we're not gonna go in with two people that are getting their first start of the season or getting their real first game time of the season. So I feel better about that. With some people that are back into the depth chart to give us an opportunity to do what we do. And then I think we've got to look at with who we're playing and the pressure that they can put and the aggressive nature of their defense. How do we help our offensive line? How do we get the ball in those receivers' hands? And so there's some things schematically. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel with what we're doing, but there's definitely some things that we've got to put in place to be able to help them if that were to happen again. Unfortunately, if those things would have happened on Sunday, you would have had a whole week to prepare for it. But you didn't realize it was going to happen until Friday afternoon, and that's one of the tough things with these tests as they get closer and closer to game time, and all of a sudden you lose a key component of your offense, and you've got to try and reinvent the wheel with a young quarterback who didn't have all week to practice it, and you got to make sure that they're comfortable mentally as well.
Corey?
Skip, and just kind of get a little clarification there. Do you anticipate having Donovan and Antoine back, or either one of them back this week?
Yeah, I mean, we're still learning with everything going through, but yes, I definitely expect one or both of them to be back.
Oh.
Coach, you mentioned a lack of defensive cohesion against BYU, and we look at what happened last week. The whole COVID thing and players shuffling on and off. How tough is it to have cohesion on a team this year?
Well, and I say cohesion in the way that we play on the field. I think one of the things I said is the cohesiveness off the field has been awesome with this team. The togetherness, the attitude, the morale. just playing as 11 guys playing together. These are things normally that are taught in spring practice. I mean, I'm not woe is me. I know everybody didn't have spring practice and everybody didn't have a summer and everybody had a limited fall camp. I realize that. But we've got 10 new starters on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know that there's another team in the country that has 10 new starters on one side of the ball and has as much inexperience as we have. I think a year ago when you returned 10 starters and when you had a 2-year quarterback, we were probably more built to prepared to handle a COVID outbreak a year ago than we are this year because of our inexperience. So having 10 new starters on that side of the ball, I said this, it's almost like the first 4 games have been like our spring scrimmages. You're teaching lessons that should be learned in the spring, lessons where, you'll have the offense will have an upper hand, then the defense will come back, and a lot of the things that you teach in team defense, you have the opportunity to teach during spring practice and your fall camp. We were just so limited with what we were doing. We have a new defensive coordinator and 10 new starters, and everybody's learning a new system. I think you'll see progress as we continue to go. But the thing that I was encouraged about was, which tells me how good this team wants to be, was where we were at BYU, the way we went out and practiced with the mindset that we had, and how much better we got from one week to the next. We need to continue to make those strides from last week to this week if we want to have any chance against a really good Marshall football team who's got a lot of experience and a lot of people coming back. So, and that's why I say cohesiveness. We weren't tied on a string. We weren't playing together as a defensive unit. And I thought we did a much better job. And I think for the players, they have an opportunity coming in and watching BYU and going, man, if I just would have stayed in my gap, I can see where that guy would have come free out of the other gap. And they corrected it. And that's a real testament to our coaches and our players for the progress that we made. But we're going to be hopefully we can make this type of progress every week as we go forward and continue to learn and grow, because we do have so much inexperience on that side of the ball.
Corey?
Skip, when you think back to the Southern Miss game leading up to it, and you guys, putting Cedric Woods into that one of those starting cornerback roles at the time, was that a long-term decision that you guys had made, or was it a decision where it's like, okay, let's put the freshman out there and let's see what he can do, and then if he ultimately wins his job by performance, he can do that?
Well, we felt like he had earned the opportunity to be the starter, that we had a number of guys during camp that missed some time with COVID-related things, whether it was contact tracing, whatever. And the one guy that was there was Cedric Woods, and he kept getting better and better, and he showed flashes, and he worked extremely hard, and I think he earned the opportunity to be the starter. But I don't think there's any doubt you put a freshman out there and you say, well, we'll see how it goes. We're going to see how's he going to handle when the bright lights come on, how's he going to handle himself. Well, he is extremely comfortable out there on the field, and there are some guys that can do it all day in practice, but out there on the field, they just struggle. Right now, our punting situation, where you can watch in practice, and all of a sudden a guy will come off the field and you'll say, we averaged 46 yards a punt today. And then you go punt on game day and you punt 10 times and don't have one go over 40 yards. We got to get better from that standpoint. But I look at a guy like Cedric Woods, he's just the opposite. He's a guy that what you see in practice every day, he goes out there and performs. And so when we put him out there at Southern Miss, he earned it, but it was also, let's see how he's going to respond under the lights. Let's see if it's going to be the same guy that we're seeing making such great progress in practice every day. And what he's done on the practice field is translated into games, and he's done a great job. I think Tyler Grubbs was a little different situation where Tyler Grubbs got the nod because all of a sudden Trey Baldwin and Mackie Carabin are taken out. There was a couple injuries, and he gets put into the fire, but I did not see him make as many plays in practice as I had seen Cedric Woods make. But both those two guys have really responded to when the lights come on. They're almost better. You know what I mean? When the lights come on, they're almost better. We're starting to feel more and more comfortable for the way those guys are playing and the quality football that they play when they go out there.
Anybody else? Corey, we'll go next.
Skip, I wanted to get your thoughts on, you guys through the first 4 games this year, getting ready to take the field. You guys all lock arms and you kind of march out onto the field, and instead of what we've come to know, where teams rush out and kind of get a little more enthusiasm going right there before kickoff. Just talk about the decision to lock arms with the players and take the field and the demeanor that which you guys have been able to take it so far.
Well, with one of the issues this summer, the social justice issues that were going on, we spent a lot of time talking as a team. We spent a lot of time in fall camp, creating, social distancing, having team meetings in huge arenas where we could share and we could talk about some of these things. Because I think the important thing, we all need to learn through this. We can all grow through this, and understanding some of the frustrations that we're going through as a society, and talking about it. And this is not about just black players or white players. This is about all of us understanding as a society some of the injustices going on. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was, this wasn't about, we got to send out a tweet. This wasn't like, hey, I'm gonna say I don't agree with what's going on, but that's not going to create change. What we need to do is we need to keep this in the forefront. And I think you're seeing athletes all over the country and schools all over the country that are trying to make statements that are trying to keep this in the forefront, where we can end racism. And I think one of the thoughts that our team came up with, outside of putting the brotherhood on the back of the helmet and how tight we are as a football team, an end racism sticker that we wore in our helmet. It's to show that we're unified together in black, white, senior, freshman, in-state, out-of-state. We're unified together. And the way you try and build a football team, it's about, you play the best player. You don't see color. You see the person that's the most productive. And I think that's what we talked about, is trying to be able to take some of the things we see in our building and being able to take these outside these walls into our society. And that's one of the reasons that the players wanted to come out, to show our unity, that we're all together in this cause, in this fight that we all need to take on from a social injustice standpoint.
Anything else, guys? Coach, I was just going to ask you something quickly about Israel Tucker.
Yep.
He had his first 2 touchdown game this past weekend of his career. He seems like he's playing really well in his final season. Can you talk about how much of, a leader he is in that position group on the team, and, just about how far he's come in his 5 years here? No,
it's been the progress that he's made, the growth that he has. And I would say that I'm so proud of him, because certainly Israel Tucker is not an overnight sensation. You look at him, he came in here, he had an ACL that he came in here with out of high school. He got here the first week he was here in shorts. He tore his ACL again. He battled back to come back from that and get into the competition. Last year he had a high ankle sprain, which really hampered him much of the season. Kind of played on one leg, but isn't going to say anything. He's going to show up every day and work. And I think this is really, as he's now going into his 5th season, I think you're seeing the results of 4 years of hard work. I think the respect that this team has for him is unbelievable, which was why I think he has the ability to be the leader that he is. He leads by example. He does everything right off the field. I can't remember having one academic conversation about Israel Tucker in his 4 years that he's been here. He's never been in my office from a disciplinary standpoint. He's got $1 million smile. He's got a great personality, and he brings so much to this team, not only as a football player, but in the locker room, with his leadership, with his voice, with his the way that he lives his life off the field, on the field, the respect that this team has for him. I can't say enough positive things about Izzy and the job that he does right now. I think he's playing really well for us. He's definitely providing a spark, and here's a guy that's a senior that's never really played a starting role or been a 1,000-yard rusher. But yet so many guys today are like, well, I'm going to transfer. I'm going here. I'm going there. Izzy is an outstanding young man who has worked extremely hard for the success that he's had, and nobody enjoys it more than he does. And it's one of those rewarding stories as a coach where you have the opportunity to sit back and just say how proud I am of him as a man, how proud I am of him as a player, and the patience, the determination, the class, the character, the work ethic that he's put in to be the type of player that he is. I love the young man. I love him, and I'm certainly glad that he's on our team because he's a true asset on the field and off the field as well.
All right. Anything else, guys? We good? All right. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.